Hey everyone, we got some breaking news around NIO that Abu Dhabi is extending their stake in NIO and takes up to 20% of ownership in NIO. So with this, NIO is raising another 2.2 billion in equity. And I did some tweets this morning, and for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going through these tweets and extend them with my commentary around this matter right now. So first of all, I'm congratulating Abu Dhabi here because they made a deal which other legacy OEMs, for example, have not done. So in the past, I mentioned that, for example, Volkswagen would be a good candidate of taking over NIO at the current valuation because NIO is priced at around 10 billion or a little bit more than that in the market. And what you would get is around 5 to 6 billion in cash plus all of NIO's brand, the R&D, the patents, the team, everything. So in my point of view, a fairly low valuation for what this company has created. Also, if you put it into context of that, for example, a company like Volkswagen is spending around 70 billion in initiatives in order to transforming the company to become a EV brand as well. And so you can see by that, comparing that it would have been very attractive for some of these older manufacturers to kind of get rid, if you will, of a competitor like NIO and take them over. But of course, there is still the founder, Li Bin, who is owning more than 10% of the company, and so you need his agreement, and he has this special vision in his mind, and as long as he thinks he won't run out of money in building that vision, it's very unlikely that he will be able to or willing to give away a stake for another entity like Volkswagen, but could be anybody else like Ford or Mercedes or whoever, maybe even Tesla taking NIO over, or a company like Apple. All of those companies have the resources in order to pull something off like that. And at the valuation that NIO was trading, I think NIO was a target. But now what's happened here? Abu Dhabi struck this deal, in my point of view, an unbelievably low valuation and a bargain here at which Abu Dhabi makes a deal. So now we have the situation that Abu Dhabi is basically providing the money, right? And NIO is providing the know-how, the head of this whole venture here with the scalability that you only find in China. So I'm expecting now that NIO, with this deal, having 6 billion plus now 2.2 billion coming in, they are at around about 8 billion in cash that they have on hands, that they will be more aggressive in their expansion plans, and going forward, the cash possibly isn't a restriction anymore, right? We had a long time now this narrative around NIO's cash burn, and NIO is not likely to succeed in the future. That was the whole fear around the stock, and that's also parts of the reason why the company is not doing well in terms of the stock price performance, especially in this macro environment where people just want to hold onto profitable companies, and NIO was kind of the opposite of that, right? In the current phase where they're in. And although I pointed out about this in the video that I've done yesterday, although NIO is now starting to do those cost cuts and more efficiency measures, and the net income losses have become smaller now for the first quarter. So I expect it still to be ongoing like that in the future. Now this investment on top of that will actually put those kind of rumors and narratives to rest for the foreseeable future, and has by far increased the likelihoods that NIO will become a profitable company with the current amount of cash. But of course, this means that, it's a congratulations, in my point of view, to Abu Dhabi, not so much to NIO management, because I pointed out in previous tweets, for example, that it doesn't make much sense to me, for example, with the first investment of Abu Dhabi that they're doing that at such a low valuation. And now again, even at a lower valuation again. And so, I have to say, to be honest, and I'm invested in a company and I'm a bull and I support Li Bin's vision, but this deal, the whole 20% take by Abu Dhabi, this is a success for Abu Dhabi. It's not a success for NIO, because NIO basically sold out 20% of their company because they had to. So that was, I want to be very straightforward. That's, in my point of view, it's mismanagement, because management, after they had 6 billion in the balance in 2020 and 2021, they overestimated their prospects of breaking even with that money, and they missed the opportunity to raise such an amount at higher share prices, which they were trading for quite some substantial time. They now came into a situation where they saw that the market was punishing them for the cash expenditures, and that the market did not longer believe that with the current resources they will succeed. So they feared that the stock price might be diluted even further, and in that regard, or come down even further, and not give them another opportunity of raising money. And so they decided to do it now with the Abu Dhabi deal, and at a really low valuation. But on the other hand, it proves that NIO is this company to stay. It's not going bankrupt. It's having a better, more aggressive opportunity now in the next coming months, which is also crucial, right? So that, from the timing wise, is very good for NIO, because now they can invest more aggressively into R&D, into build out of battery swapping, into going into other markets, and they don't need to cut back too much, although I still think that cost efficiency measures they will keep on going, by the way. But those who have hoped that NIO will be dying soon, I think they will have to cover their shorts now, because we know more than 140 million shares have been short NIO, and I think quite a few competitors or short seller have been hoping that this company will not survive, and I think again the likelihood of that to happen is much lower. But of course, people are now wondering why the stock is up 10% in the pre-market. At least we'll see where it will be trading in the coming hours and days. But for me, it's quite natural. I think I've pointed out here in another tweet that was back in November that I said this. There is this rumor about a potential equity raise by NIO of about $3 billion. So that was leaked by Bloomberg. And I think, despite the fact that NIO has denied that rumor back then, the market was discounting for it. And they were discounting for a 25% to 30% discount, raising $3 billion at that current market cap. So this is just napkin business case here, or invest case. But I think the stock was so suppressed for that very reason. We saw that there was no bounces on good news anymore, simply because that news had to be out and confirmed first, and this was basically putting a lid on higher stock prices, just as I said back in November. And that's exactly what happens. Now we have the news out, and this worst scenario projections of maybe up to $3 billion capital raise did not happen. It's $2.2 billion instead. So market has to adjust upwards to it. That's why we see the pre-market going a bit higher, and investor cheering this news as certainty. So it brings certainty, and as I mentioned, it removes lots of the worries around the company, and because of that, I think now we will see more clarity going forward on NIO's cash position here, and that can now drive in investors again, and not worry about a potential dilution in the next couple of weeks. But it means also, frankly, as a shareholder, that the dilution unfortunately has already happened, right? The stock has been discounted for it, and if NIO wouldn't have done this equity deal, then the shares, and if there wouldn't be any signs that they need this money and they will do it, in that case NIO would trade maybe 20 to 30% higher than today. And that's not going to happen right now, but as I mentioned, now we can look at this bigger puzzle piece. Yesterday I also tweeted that the head of NIO Tech was publishing on Weibo that he's got some very big news to announce, and he's very excited about it. And I was mentioning that I think it's possibly not about the 150 kilowatt hour battery that I mentioned yesterday in the video, because I think that's not the super big news that would get this guy excited. Again, the puzzle piece that we are getting is, I think, now with this deal being done, that's bringing them so much clarity and a future outlook. Also, if you're this tech guy who now has the budgets to keep on doing this R&D in a couple of spaces, like let's say their own chip development, battery swapping, and so on. So I think there's actually even a bit more news to come. I think that's not even the end of the news announcements that we're currently seeing, maybe up until NIO Day. But yeah, this is the big news that we're now having. And so, yeah, that's my first take here. In a sense, it's a positive because it's eliminating all of those narratives and all of those uncertainties. So now we can look forward. From a shareholder perspective, it's not the most shareholder friendly move, or at least we have to be honest with ourselves. This could have been managed better. From a shareholder perspective, I would say, it's very common and natural for startups to raise money along the journey if the startup can succeed over time. In a couple of years, it possibly doesn't matter too much anymore. However, we have to say this is a big dilution. So in a sense, up to 20% that has been, that the shares would be trading higher if the money wouldn't have been necessary. But again, now we have more positive prospects of the future and a couple of good incentives now, and let's say ammunition for the coming months to win the battle in this decisive time where we have the cost war, we have geopolitics issues, we have a NIO that wants to expand overseas and so on, and now the likelihoods are much better than before. This company has many lives. It will always come back, and those who are betting against them, they now need to face the reality that this company will be around, and so that will be the thing now to see what will be the future value of this company, and can they possibly, hopefully, create some shareholder value out of this deal in the future. So that's my take for now. More things to add later on. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next ones.